Hello, powerful one. Welcome to this edition of Inner Growth with Osezuah Elimihe. Today, we are doing what we have always been doing on this channel, discussing how we can improve upon our human system to match with the standard of perfection that our soul functions at. Our soul is perfect, it is undying, it is eternal. But that soul, which is us, has been encased in a finite, limited form, in an environment that is also finite, limited, and time bound. Now, because the environment, the body, and the mind are not eternal, they are designed to serve a purpose. And when that purpose is fully done, they are demobilized and the soul remains, like they say, and the soul goes marching on. But the quality of life that we live on this planet, in this world, is determined by how closely aligned our environment, our body, and our mind are with the soul. To a heartbreaking majority of us, the distance between the soul and the environment, the body and the mind, is massive. That is why we suffer all the things that are meant to be our blessings. Like Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev said, a lot of us are suffering from our intelligence. We are suffering from the immensity of possibilities, of capabilities invested in us. We are too much. That is why we suffer. Can you just imagine that? We are not able to come into at one met with that which we are. Therefore, our soul keeps yearning for more. And our body and our mind, because of the influence of the environment, just can't match up. And because they can't match up, they are suggesting possibilities that are ephemeral to us, and we fall for them, we go for them, and after it, in the initial stage when these things are suggested, they are exhilarating, they're excited by it. I want to get a PhD, and you are pushing. When you do all the exams and then finally you get it, you are excited, a celebration. When it is over, what next? This is what life is all about. The reason we consistently have dissatisfaction is because we haven't come close to the mark that our soul is putting forward before us. It keeps telling us we are more than this. We are more than this. It may not be able to put it in words, but we have that drive. Some of us have converted that drive to greed, which is a negative, of course, selfish interpretation of the soul's call for more. And the more that the soul is calling for is no more material things. It's more expansion. It's more growth. And how do we go about achieving more growth? The soul does not need to grow. The soul is fully grown. All we need to know as souls is that we are more than the material and mental and environmental adornment of our beings. That these three elements of our beings are temporal. They can never define us. They can never lead us to wherever we are destined to go, because they don't even understand it. They are not aware of it. The best they can do is feed us with what they have. And what do they have? Material things. Things that are subject to time. And the things that are subject to time melt as they are manifested. As they are being born, they are dying. In other words, they are born to die. There's only one being, there's only one entity in our entire universe that is not born to die, but is born to be discovered. And that is you, the soul. The core purpose of our being is to improve these three elements of mind, body, and environment in such a manner that they are properly primed to respond to the yearning of the soul, which is self-discovery. That's what it's all about. It is like an athlete training for the marathon. Now, the athlete is capable of attaining the best in that race. When the athlete imagines the race, it is possible. But the body is not prepared. The athlete has to train over weeks, months, and even years to tone the body's muscle to get there. But for the athlete to be able to do that, it must also condition the mind, train the mind with the understanding that it can achieve it. The mind begins to train to fit in. When the mind fits in, it downloads the fit-in potential, the fit-in competence, the fit-in performance onto the body, and then the body's muscles are attuned to that thing. Not just the muscles, even the bones, every aspect of the body, all the cells to begin to fire with that can-do mentality. And then the marathon is a done deal when the day eventually comes. Now, that is the function of the spirit, to build the body, to build the mind, and to build the environment to be able to respond to the yearning of itself. That's all. There are certain qualities, there are certain toning that our physical aspect must undergo to be able to give room for us to attain self-realization. And once we have hit self-realization, every other thing is possible, is the goal. So we tell people, forget about looking for God. You can't find God by looking for God. It is God itself, or themselves, or himself, or herself that will find you. No way. God, where are you going to look? Where do you think God is? You can't find God, but the first goal is for you to find yourself. Once you find yourself, it becomes the duty of God to find you. So how are we going to go about this? It is about acquiring that knowledge, which if you acquire, all other branches of knowledge become possible. Once you acquire this capability, all other capabilities of life become so easy. And what is that capability? Well, aren't we going to discuss this when we come back from this short break? Of course we are. I am Osezuah, Anthony Elimihe. You know me. I am in the perpetual game of helping you grow from inside out. That is the goal. You're welcome back. What is that knowledge that if a human being acquires, all other knowledge become easy, become available? That knowledge, it is called self-knowledge. Now, in the Sanskrit, this knowledge is referred to as para-vidya. That is the knowledge that is transcendental. The knowledge that we acquire by studies, by words, whether the words are printed or spoken by others, they are universal. They are material knowledge. All these knowledge are meant to make us able to function effectively, successfully in this lower world. Call it knowledge from elementary school to PhD to professorial chairs. All of these things are all material knowledge. The knowledge of self-attainment, self-realization cannot be canonized. It cannot be taught. That knowledge is a spiritual infection which can only be caught. Well, I just quoted one of my master's quotes, which is Sant Kirpan Singh Ji Maharaj. He said, spirituality cannot be taught. It can only be caught like an infection. Where do you catch that from? From that being who is an embodiment of that knowledge, which is called the Word made flesh. How do you find that person? You can't find it by seeking. Like he would say, that person that is Word made flesh. He said, they will say to you, lo there, lo here. He said, don't go. Don't follow them. Because the kingdom of heaven is within you. You can't find it outside. That knowledge is also the kingdom of heaven. When you find it, all other things become easy. So how do you look for it if you cannot get it in the pages of books? If you cannot find it by its external exertions, by attending courses? Well, there is a mentality that you need to adopt. That mentality will lead you to this place. It is called self-introspection. It is called dwelling, keeping company with yourself. Now, this is it. Do not bother your beautiful self looking for the truth, for it cannot be found outside. No book can give you the truth. They can only function as signposts. They point to it. Have you ever seen where a human being sits on the signpost and the signpost will travel and lead the person to destination? Never. Signposts are rooted on the spot, pointing towards the direction of their goal. That's what they do. Religions, the best of them are signposts to the truth. The best books ever written by any human being, by any entity at all, they are signposts pointing to self-realization. They can never lead you there. The exercise of self-realization must be carried out by one who seeks self-realization. How is this done? This is what I'm going to tell you from what I know is this. From when you wake up in the morning till when you go back to sleep at night, you have an ample space to dwell within that possibilities of self-realization. What many of us do not really quite understand is that there are two places we can be when we wake up in the morning. We can either be at the inner school of our being, where we are open to the download of information that will lead us to our true self and our true identities, or we are in the school of the world, the school of the outer universe, where we are shown how to acquire material things, which also tells us that we are not doing enough because the gap between us and our mates is widening by the day. When you stay in that school of thoughts, in that school of material awareness, you'll be conditioned to the material way of being, to the material ways of thinking, and to the material ways of doing. But when you connect with the inner school, where there are no professors, where there are no chairs, where there are no board, where there are no computers, you tune into the inner school, you will find out that the power you glean as you move along is immense. That is where you learn the habits that are spiritual. That is when you begin to advance mentally, and you find out that your body, your mind, and your environment begin to respect your thoughts and your wishes. How is that done? Where is the school? You see, I don't know where the school is, but I know one thing, that each time I sit quietly, like every single day, when I sit quietly and just take my attention to that which is unknown, for example, I could start by saying, how am I doing right now? Am I allowing the truth to well up within me, or am I hampering it? What exactly am I doing right now? By that simple question, you are actually stilling your mind, and you are telling your mind that it is about time we went higher. What is that thing that I should be thinking right now? For instance, as you could say, am I allowing that which has already been done in my life to manifest, or am I blocking them? Am I aligning with the truth as I'm sitting right now, or standing right now, or walking right now? Am I intrinsically connected with the truth? When you ask that question, the next thing you should say is, I choose to be aligned with the truth. I choose to be connected to my core purpose of being. Now, questions that are so important, that are bothering your life about that which you cannot explain, this is the moment to ask them. You see, it is not enough to say, I don't believe in preachers, I don't believe in religion. It's okay to say those things, not to believe in them is a plus. But you see, you also have to make effort. You have to do research. Like my master will say, your body is the laboratory for experimenting, for researching into truth. This is how you use it. When you ask these very deep questions and you make these solid resolutions, you put the mind in a very difficult position. What is that difficulty? Well, the mind believes that it knows all things. The mind was constructed that way to have all understanding, to feel that it knows it all, that it cannot err. And like I once said, the mind can only err to the extent of the data we feed the mind. That is not me talking. That is L. Ron Hubbard. He said that the mind cannot err. Never. The mind can only err to the extent of the data fed it. Now, we know anyway that mind has its limitations. Now, this is it. Just as mind cannot err, but it can only err to the extent of the data fed it, which is to say, it is the data that are wrong, not the mind. In the same way, the human soul cannot err. You cannot err. You can only err to the extent your mind is led to error by the data fed it. So you are pure. So don't hold yourself guilty of anything. If you are not in the inner school where you acquire the transcendental knowledge, you are going to be dwelling on your sins. You are going to be dwelling on your shortcomings. You are going to allow the world to run you ragged because the world is best at judging you. That is why all the religions of this world, they are all about convincing you of sin, letting you understand that if you don't toe their lines, you will go to hell. That's what they are telling you, or you'll be destroyed. If you don't do this, this will happen. But you see, if you connect to the inner school, you will discover a lot of things about you. Most of the things we say on this channel, they are not coming because we have read some books. No. Yes, we read a lot. We did courses to give us a foundation of the human mind and the human system. But you see, how we apply this knowledge you have acquired by reading is beyond the schools. These are the things we acquire by connecting to the inner school. It is free of charge. The only cost you pay is the opportunity cost of letting the world go and you letting yourself in. Take some time and introspect. Ask yourself, why am I alive? Why was I brought to this space? Am I fulfilling that purpose? What must I become to fulfill that purpose? Or is it about what must I do or what must I have to fulfill that purpose? So, why am I a human being? So, being simply means that I'm in the process of becoming something. So, what am I becoming? What have I become so far? What should I become? These are the questions you should be asking. And am I in alignment with that becoming? Am I surrendering to that becoming, or am I blocking the possibilities of that becoming? See, the possibilities of what you will become are immense. They cannot be put in words. They cannot be written. All you need to do is to just open up. Be prepared to know what is going on your inside by asking questions. Once when I was on air on radio, I said this, that the best form of prayer is to ask questions. They said one who asks questions can be a fool for a moment, but one who does not ask questions and assumes answers will be a fool forever. All right? This idea of saying, I know it all because my pastor, because my religion, because my studies, because my books have said so, is actually a nullity. You are more than your religion. You are more than your books. You, my friend, are infinite. You are deathless. You must discover this truth yourself. All these things I'm saying to you, don't take them as the truth. Take them and ask questions about them. Research them in the laboratory of your mind, of your body. Subject these things to test. How do you do that? Ask questions. Ask questions with the understanding that answers are possible, with the understanding that there are or there is a benevolent being listening to you lovingly, ready to supply you an answer. Knock off this understanding that the universe is harsh, that the universe is judging you. And if you must live that life of embracing the benevolence of the universe, you too must stop judging people. If you are living in this inner school, you live a life of forbearance. You are able to cope with a lot of things and a lot of people. You do not judge. You do not condemn people. Because the measure with which you give is also the measure that the world will give unto you. If you stay away from judging people, you spend your days focusing on inner things, inner bliss. You see, inner peace is not possible if you keep judging people, if you keep looking at people on the basis of their errors. It's not possible, because it will keep aggravating you and stirring the pool of your mind, and you will not be able to settle. So look at people, send them blessings, love them in spite of their weaknesses, in spite of their flaws. When you do that, you are instigating, directing the unconditional love of the universe to be turned towards you. You see, because the measure with which you mete out is what you receive. So growth is possible. Believe in it. Ask questions, not of people, ask questions of your being. All right? Ask questions within you. All the questions: is there God? Is there life after death? What will I become after this? What? Ask these questions. And thinking about how you survive in this space, your career, everything, ask questions about them. Keep asking yourself, am I in alignment with actions, thoughts that are going to free me to succeed in the business I'm facing? Ask these questions and then add, I choose to be aligned to things that profit me. I choose to grow materially, mentally, spiritually. So keep asking these questions. Ask questions about your career success. Ask questions about your relationship. Am I in the right position to get my dream life? Am I having the right thought, the right feelings about these things? If not, I choose to have the right feelings. I choose to be aligned. All that pertain to life and godliness, I am open to them. I make way for my success daily. Growth is possible. It is within your grasp. Get it. God bless you.